Hi everyone. Very good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're joining us from. This is Rasha Khan, and I'm your host for today's webinar. And I'm joining all the way from Bangalore, India. Would, would love to know where are you joining?
Sorry, let me just
Hi everyone. So sorry for the interruption. I see folks have already started introducing themselves on the chat here. Let me also quickly put on my introduction on the chat. So welcome everyone, and we'll be starting the session right on time. But before that, let's have a quick round of introductions on the chat here, right? As this is a global webinar, you'll be seeing a lot of folks joining from different parts of the world. And I see Brian has also joined us. Hi, Brian. A very good morning.
good morning, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon.
We are also streaming live on our YouTube channel as well. And I see a lot of folks have put this there as well. So you can also put on your introductions and let us know where are you joining us from on the YouTube live chat box. Awesome. Please keep the introductions coming in. Let me also quickly just look at the introductions here. I see someone has joined us from Bangalore. Would love to know your name. I see Shushmita has joined us from Bangalore as well. And someone has joined us from hot Mumbai. Okay, would love to know your name. Sometimes it's very hard to make out your name from your email IDs. Definitely the weather is hot in Mumbai. So tell me about it. Uh, and I see Pretoria from Justin from South Africa and Michael from Ghana. I see someone has joined us from London, Paul from London, and Vidya Shankar has joined us from Bengaluru. Thank you so much for joining in early. We will start the session right on time. Please keep the introductions coming in if you have just joined us. And meanwhile, let me just quickly introduce you to the program here, and also basically it is powered by Simplilearn. And Simplilearn, being the world's #1 online bootcamp, we have been in the digital skills training space for more than a decade now. And we are very proud that we have transformed lives by empowering people via these digital skills. And we'll be talking about the PRINCE2 Foundation and the Practitioner exam certification today as one of the skills. Now, let me just quickly take you through the ground rules here we have here for the session. So these ground rules are here because we want to make sure that you have an amazing experience throughout the webinar. And in case you have any questions, simple and easy, you need to put down your questions in the Q&A box. And also, the session is being recorded in case you want to go through the recording of the session once again. In case you missed anything, please don't worry. You can expect a follow-up email from us with the recording link to view. And also for the webinar certificate, to request a proof of attendance for attending this webinar, you'll have to fill the post-webinar survey. So this session is 60 minutes long, and once the session ends, you will get a pop-up by Zoom which says post-webinar survey. In that, you will have to enter your full name. So we will need that data in order to send you the personalized certificate. Also, this is how the certificate will look like. It's just an example of the certificate, how the webinar certificate looks like. It's basically the certificate for participation. Your name will be here, and the webinar you're attending today, basically how to successfully ace the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner exam in 2024 in your first attempt will be here. And it will be accredited by Simplilearn. So this is how it looks like. And why not share it on your network as well, right? So you're attending a very latest trending webinar, and you can share the certificate and showcase your achievement on LinkedIn with your network and connect with like-minded folks. You can tag our Simplilearn handle and also our expert Bryan Campbell as well. This is an example of how the post look like. A lot of attendees are already sharing it. I'll share the link basically or towards the hashtag which you need to use, that is hashtag simply grow. And yeah, they are basically already sharing it with their network and also interacting and connecting with like-minded folks. This is how the certificate is being shared. And how you can track them, you can track them by using the hashtag SimplyGrow as well. And you also create a basically post for yourself as well. So please do that. If you like anything about the session, you can also take screen grabs and screenshots as well, and use the same hashtag and post it. Awesome. I see introductions are still coming in, and a lot of new folks are still joining in. But let's start with a quick poll here before we start the session, because we can see there are folks who have joined us from different parts of the world. But it's very interesting that folks who join us also come from different set of experiences as well. So let me just quickly launch this poll, and let's get to know how many years of experience do you currently have. So there are 4 quick options here. You can select the one which is most suitable for you on the poll here, and also wanted to quickly check the sound as well, and if the screen is visible to you as well. So you can just let me know by replying yes or no on the chat if the sound is audible to you, loud and clear, and the screen is visible to you. If not, please do let me know as well. So, awesome. I see most of you have already started responding to the poll here. Thank you so much. Thank you. I see messages on the chat here. Seems to be the voice and the screen is visible and the voice is audible. So thank you so much. In case you face any issues throughout during the session as well, you can feel free to point it out to us. Yeah. Sometimes it's happened, right? Like network issues, technical issues, right? We can't control that. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. I see most of you have responded. So how many years of experience do you currently have? So 4 quick options there to choose from. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks and our speaker here. Let's see what have you voted for. So 69% of the votes are for more than 5 years. Oh, interesting. A lot of experienced folks here. And 16% is for 0 to 3 years, and 6% is for 3 to 5 years. And 8% of you have given votes for currently studying. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives us and our speaker an understanding, of what kind of crowd with experience has joined us. Now, quickly taking you through the agenda of today's session. So the first and the most important agenda of today's session is about you, how we can help you out in your career better and address any questions you might have during the session as well. And we'll be covering the topic today, how you can ace the PRINCE2 Foundation exam on your first attempt in 2024. We'll be going through, how basically what are the tips and tricks, Bryan will be sharing with you, you can use to basically clear the PRINCE2 Foundation exam. And followed by that, we'll be covering the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner 7th edition certificate training, which we have for Simplilearn here. And yeah, we have learner outcomes, which we'll be sharing with you what are the alumni seeing. And based on the interest you share towards enrollment, we'll be quickly sharing you the enrollment steps, where we'll be sharing the program fee and the upcoming cohort, and also the program page link for you to download the syllabus later on. And last but not the least, the Q&A. So we will try to take your questions during the session if the time allows for the speaker. If not, we will be taking it towards the end. So please don't worry, just have a little patience and keep the questions related to the topic. And now would like to quickly introduce you to our expert speaker, Bryan Campbell. Bryan, a very good morning to you. And it's always a pleasure hosting you. Would you like to introduce yourselves to the audience here?
Absolutely. Thanks, Rasha. So great to have an opportunity to connect with everyone. So exciting to see people coming in from all over the world. So a little bit about myself. So I have a pretty deep background in project and program management. So I spend a lot of time in both those domains and areas. And as we're going to hear, PRINCE is a really effective set of practices that help project managers successfully deliver their projects. So in addition to the fact that I do a lot of work in these spaces with a lot of the largest companies in the world, I do a lot of work with Simplilearn, teaching and preparing course material that can help people like we have on our session today learn and successfully pass some of the certification exams that are available. A lot of the work I do is also in the agile domain. So in addition to more conventional project management that PRINCE2 and the Project Management Institute emphasize, I also work a lot with agile practices, things like Scrum and Kanban and the Scaled Agile Framework. So yeah, lots of background there. In terms of where I'm based in Houston, Texas. So you might hear me say all y'all periodically. Yeah, and that's a little bit about me. So over to you, Rasha.
Thank you so much, Brian, for introduction. And yes, we have one interesting session lined up. And now we'll be quickly starting that because I see the eagerness from the folks to start the session. So yeah, we'll be starting with how you can ace the PRINCE2 Foundation exam in your first attempt in 2024. Yeah. Starting with the PRINCE2 Foundation exam preparation tips.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. I think there was some question about what is PRINCE2, and you know it's a form of an acronym. It basically means principles in project management stages. So this is our projects in controlled environments, I think is exactly what it stands for. So that's PRINCE. And where it has a lot of emphasis, this is a UK-based, United Kingdom-based methodology. So it might not be terribly surprising to hear that this gets maybe a little bit more attention in European countries in sort of that space, but it's also a very globally recognized certification. And it's all oriented around how do we manage projects successfully. So anytime we're kind of learning a methodology, set of processes like PRINCE, like the Project Management Institute project management certification, we're going to have to come up with some strategies on how do we learn the content, and then how can we demonstrate that knowledge in the exams that they're going to use to give you your certification. So this is a form of a mind map, and if you haven't used a mind map before, it's a really effective tool. Just kind of ask yourself, hey, what do I need to do in order to get something completed? So if we follow the different branches here, if you notice on the right-hand side, one of the first things, a really good practice, is when we're learning something new, is to get some training. So understanding what training options are available, things you want to give a little thought to include the fact that we're looking for an accredited training program. Okay, so that's really important because we want to learn something that we know that's going to be on the exam. Only accredited training partners are going to be able to do that. And in addition, we want to look for a training provider that has a structured approach to teaching these ideas and concepts. And things that we want to make sure that we're getting from our training provider include not just course material, but also how that course material is going to be shared with you. Most of us have different styles of learning, and we want to have different ways in which we can access that information, whether it's self-paced learning through some PowerPoint slides, it could be videos that you're watching, it could be instructor-led teaching. So all those are different ways in which we can learn. And we want to give some thought to what training provider we want to leverage to kind of get as much of that breadth as we can, and ensure that whoever's teaching these courses have the knowledge and expertise to help us learn the concepts and then get ready for the exam. So the first step is really understanding who am I going to work with to get the training I need. I know Rasha is going to give you some great examples of why Simplilearn has a really powerful offering that is really well positioned to kind of help you pass that certification. Once we have that, then we really need to start thinking about things like a study guide. See on the right-hand side, we've got a study plan. Things we want to give some thought to when we think about our study plan is how much time do we have? What areas do we feel more or less confident in? Areas that you feel like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. Don't need to spend as much time on. Areas that we're not as familiar with. Obviously, an area that we want to make sure we're investing more time in to get comfortable with the topics that will be covered there. And then building out a study schedule. So many of us, particularly if you've got a fair amount of experience and you're working and maybe you've got a family and other responsibilities, you're gonna have to give some thought to when can you study for passing this exam. Once you've kind of got a good study plan in place, things we want to start, pulling in, referencing. If we look down near the bottom, we see things like guides, our study guides. So let's look at examples. PRINCE2 has some study guide recommendations. It's a great place to kind of use as an input. We want to make sure we've got access to the formal documentation that tells us about the methodology, in this case, the PRINCE2 manual. Again, that's freely available on their website, so we want to use that as an input. And look to any other resources that could give us help when we prepare for that exam. Maybe forums that are out there. There's some good forums on Prince that you can be part of. You look for, videos you might discover on YouTube, articles, blog posts, things like that. So once we've got sort of a better understanding of what's being covered, we've got our study plan that tells us, when we're available to kind of work on things. And then we're going to really start unpacking the syllabus. If you see on the left-hand side in yellow, understand the syllabus. In Prince, there are 7 process areas. So, for example, you'd want to understand, okay, what are the 7? Make sure we understand the weight in the exam that each one of those 7 process areas are going to cover. Not all of them have the same number of questions, so making sure you're focusing the ones that are going to have the most questions on the exam is important. Get familiar with the whole syllabus. Syllabus is just a kind of a fancy word for kind of the table of contents for the material that you're covering. And then once you've kind of got a good grounding in that, that's really when you're going to start looking to study groups to kind of help you. Because really a big help for many people preparing for an exam is having an accountability partner, someone you're working with who's also getting ready for the exam. You can ask each other questions, you can check in on your progress, really find a support group to help you with this. And then once you've got in place that you're feeling pretty good about what you've covered, you're ready to start taking some practice tests. And for many people, this isn't something you've been doing a lot. You probably finished all your college, university courses a couple of years before. Might have been a little bit of time since you've taken an exam. So you want to take some practice tests, get used to that, and then also understand where there might be areas on the exam that need more attention. You can use that to give feedback. And this actually ties back to that training provider. A really good thing to make sure you're considering when you're looking at training providers is ensuring that they've got a lot of strong practice exams to prepare you for the real thing. One of the things I can certainly say about Simplilearn, they put a heavy emphasis on ensuring that the exams that they're providing to help students practice and prepare are very, very strong reflections of what will be in the final exam. I actually write a number of the questions myself. I've taken this exam many times. I'm very familiar with it. So you're looking for training providers that can really provide you that next level of confidence in the exams that you can prepare with. So that kind of gets you hopefully ready to take the exam, and maybe we can dig a little bit deeper into some of the topic areas, Rasha, if we move to the next slide. So as I mentioned, PRINCE2 has a series of sort of core principles and processes that it supports, and this is a good starting place to kind of help you prepare for the exam itself. So first off, really get grounded with the PRINCE2 principles. There's 7 principles. They are going to be crucial for the exam. They are referenced throughout the exam. Making sure you've got a really strong understanding of what those are is going to be important to success. This concept of different themes, there's 7 different themes that are included in the PRINCE2 guide. So make sure, again, you're spending time getting comfortable, familiar with what those are. The 7 processes, also another very important part of this. This is all about how do we start up a project? How do we direct the project? How do we ensure that we're delivering projects successfully? You can probably immediately tell, hey, that's sort of the fundamentals, the foundations of being an effective project manager. And one of the things that makes Prince, I think, really powerful is its flexibility. So you've got a lot of opportunity to tailor the methodology, that set of processes that PRINCE2 represents. So understanding when there might be needs for different approaches to how you're applying project management practices. So what's an example? Well, maybe the project you're working on is a smaller project. It's got 3 or 4 people. It's mostly an internal project. Maybe you're building something within, one of the areas of an organization, maybe in marketing, tracking how many campaigns have been sent to customers. It's an internal system that's just being built to kind of track this. So it's lower risk. You might not need to have a lot of formal, documentation and stage gates and phases of your project. It might be something you do kind of quickly. So you want to tailor the methodology to reflect that. You don't need a lot of those additional activities that you might expect in a much larger project. The domain of the project could be important. If you're working with more of a technical domain, you're building software, well, that gives you some more flexibility. Software is pretty easy to adapt and adjust compared to building a new commercial structure where you're excavating a large foundation, you're pouring that to stand up a large structure. So in those situations, we want to have a much deeper understanding of what the requirements are so we can build our commercial structure to support those. It's hard to add additional floors to the big commercial building when you're halfway through, but on a software project, it's kind of easy to add more features and functions in existing product and platform. So making sure you understand the different domains so you can tailor the methodology appropriately. Then we want to spend some time with simulation tests, take practice tests, time yourself. You're going to have a limited amount of time to complete the exam, so getting comfortable with the timing. So that's going to help you improve your exam taking skills and that time management. Look at past exam papers so you get a sense of the style of questions and the types of answers you can anticipate. And then just staying on top of things, stay consistent, stay organized, make sure you've got your study materials well organized. Some people are stronger at this than others. If you're a big fan of highlighters and putting little sticky notes on pages, that's probably going to be very helpful as you prepare for this exam. You might need to think about how I'm going to track, what I've reviewed. Do I want to use some online products to help me with this? Am I more of a pencil and paper type of person? You're really going to have to spend some time asking what's the best way for you to capture knowledge and retain it. So those are some prep strategies that you want to consider as you get ready to take the exam. And I think if we move to the next slide, Rasha. Yeah, so here we want to give a little thought to what to expect from the different types of questions that we're going to expect to see on the exam. So a few things. If we start in the right-hand corner, there's different question types. The exam is going to be all multiple choice questions. Hey, and there's some pros and cons to that. The good news is, you're going to have 4 answers to a question. It does limit the number of choices, so you've got some opportunity, just necessarily even pick the best one that you find. But there's some things you want to give some thought to. A lot of times the questions are worded in such a way that usually you'll find one that isn't a good fit, so you're left with 3 more. And 2 of those are often going to feel like they're pretty strong candidates. So you're going to really want to give some thought to how do I narrow down the questions, the multiple choice questions, to at least 2. And then really spend some time reading those, dissecting them, understanding them. Now, a good practice that I've learned sometimes the hard way is take the time to read every single word, both in the question and the answer, sometimes skipping a couple words, not bothering to finish the sentence can have a big effect on picking the right answer. And also recognize that, read it, absorb it, reflect on it. These exams are written in a way that you're going to have lots of time to thoroughly read the questions. So don't skip through things. Give yourself the time necessary to read and really understand what questions being asked. Areas that you're going to see a lot of focus on. One is something we just talked about, tailoring. So PRINCE2 is a highly tailorable methodology. So you're going to see lots of questions around tailoring. How do you tailor to different projects, environments, different kind of scenarios? Definitions and concepts are going to be important. So things like, what are the key principles? What are the 7 processes? Those are going to come up. You're going to make sure you're very comfortable with those. Principles in action, how are they applied? So you'll probably expect to see some scenarios shared. Here's an example of a project situation. How would you apply some of the principles to those? The processes themselves, there's going to be lots of questions on what steps do you follow when you're setting up a project, when you're managing a risk or an issue. So expect to see lots of questions on those. And then again, a lot of scenario-based questions. Here's an example. How would you apply some of the PRINCE practices and principles to those scenarios? And then themes, this idea that there's different types of themes. How do they relate to one another? How do they fit within the PRINCE2 framework? So these are the kinds of questions you can expect to see on the exam. Now, the good news is, as Rasha is going to share a little bit more with you, one of the strengths that Simplilearn offers is it's got very comprehensive practice exams that have been developed with all this in mind. So you'll get a real opportunity with Simplilearn as a training provider to really get very, very robust, very comprehensive practice exams. And I can share this with you, having taught hundreds, thousands of people getting ready for certification exam. That's probably the most important thing, having good, robust practice exams to get you ready for that certification exam.
Thank you,
Rasha.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bryan, for taking us through, the tips and tricks for how to get prepared for the PRINCE2 Foundation exam. Now, we have already started getting a lot of, good questions in the Q&A box from the folks as well. We'll be addressing them shortly whenever the speaker gets time. But before that, we are aware that you're here because you are interested, in basically pursuing your career in project management. So we would love to know what exactly is stopping you from becoming an expert project manager here. So let me just quickly launch this poll. This one is a multiple choice poll because there can be multiple concerns, right, when it comes to pursuing a career. So I've just launched this poll here, and you can let us know by selecting the options which you feel like are the concerns you have or challenges you might face when it comes to pursuing a career in project management or I see that you folks have already started responding to the poll here. And also, let me just quickly read out these options for you. The first one here is I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. Second one is I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And the third one is I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. And the fourth one is my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. That makes sense. I see most of the votes are coming for the fourth option still now because most of you who have joined us are working professionals and have more than 5 years of experience. So yeah, but yeah, we will give like 10 more seconds for the poll here before we move on to the program today. Some last 5 seconds for the poll here, folks. What's stopping you from becoming an expert project manager? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks. Let's see what have you responded as your concerns. 46% is for my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. As I mentioned, that makes sense, right? A lot of you are working professionals and are pretty experienced as well. 39% of you have responded for I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. And 30% of you have responded for I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And 14% of you have responded for I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That definitely gives us an understanding of the challenges you might be facing. And when we basically talk about the program, we will address your concerns as well. And if the poll did not cover your concern, the Q&A box is open, as I mentioned. So yeah, please go and put down your questions in the Q&A box. Now quickly introducing you to Simplilearn's PRINCE2 7th edition Foundation and Practitioner Certification Exam training, where you get access to a comprehensive curriculum with an industry-aligned learning path. We'll be going through the learning path in detail for both Foundation and Practitioner, and you'll be earning up to 35 PDUs with instructor-led sessions. And also basically one of the concerns about the pre-recorded videos, right? So this program does not have only pre-recorded videos. It actually has a maximum of live online classroom training led by instructors who are experts in their industry, and also a lifetime access to the recorded content. And the course fee for the program will also include the exam fee for the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner Certification exam as well. And the format of the program is online bootcamp. So basically, you'll be able to access it even after the webinar is done. That is a lifetime access of content from PRINCE2. and Simplilearn. Now, quickly talking about, so Bryan, who exactly will be the target audience for this taking up this course, according to you?
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of questions already showing up in the Q&A that I'm trying to answer as we're progressing here. But one that seems to be a very common theme is, what's the difference between the project management professional, the PMP certification, and PRINCE2? And let me just quickly address that. They're really both very, very effective certifications that are globally recognized. I don't think there's any employers that are going to have a stronger preference of one or the other. Either of these are going to demonstrate a very solid grasp of project management fundamentals and demonstrate that you've got the skills necessary to manage projects effectively. I think if you were to ask just my humble opinion, I think you see PRINCE2 maybe getting more emphasis in Europe. Certainly more international organizations are probably going to have a little bit more familiar with the PRINCE2. But PMP is also very pervasive. It's possibly a bit more, broadly recognized, but both cover the same general concepts and ideas. So who really benefits from this? Well, PRINCE2 and project management certification general office is going to benefit project managers. This is a very well-defined career path. If this is something that you get a lot from, if that you enjoy, and you maybe have already been doing in some capacities, this is going to be a great fit for your career direction. And if this is something that you're just getting introduced to, maybe you're an associate or assistant project manager, again, this is going to be a great path to follow, because it's going to help you strengthen your skills, create more opportunities so you can progress up into the project management domain. But it doesn't just have to be for people in that project management area. You could be a team lead, a team manager. So many roles within organizations need to rely on effective project management skills. What do those look like? Well, they include things like tracking and managing budgets. So if you're a team lead, a team manager, you're going to have a budget. This is going to help you quite a bit in just managing budgets, forecasts, and variances around those forecasts. You're going to want to think about, how do we manage risks, the potential that might affect my ability to get work done or the cost of getting work completed. Issues, how to deal with issues, how do we manage the people, the resources that I need to deliver something. So all these are going to be really helpful for anyone, even operating as a team manager, team lead, not necessarily a project manager. Now, if you're a project executive, this is going to be fundamental to your ability to coordinate large-scale projects and initiatives, or a project engineer. You need these foundations to really understand both how to get your responsibilities completed, but also how to work with others that have similar responsibilities, like project managers, project coordinators, project executives. Software developer, maybe you're a software developer and you're kind of curious about this. Maybe you see this as a potential career path. One thing about being a software developer, often with the pace of change in technology, it can be difficult to, maintain that level of expertise and knowledge. So you might consider project management as a path where you're managing large, complex software projects. So it keeps you in that domain, the software domain, but gives you access to new job opportunities and responsibilities. And then a lot of times too, as I think I mentioned earlier, organization skills are critical in every facet of an organization. In fact, this is one of the things that the Project Management Institute, if you've been going to its website more recently, has been emphasizing, is they're introducing lots of very small micro certifications, so they're more accessible to a broader group of people, because so many people need project management skills to effectively deliver their responsibilities. So even if you're not necessarily a project manager or a manager, you could still get a tremendous amount of value from just learning these ideas and concepts, because you can bring them into any number of other roles in an organization.
Thank you so much, Bryan, for sharing your comment on that. And moving on to the learning part of the program, starting with the course curriculum for the PRINCE2 7th edition Foundation Training.
Yeah, so one of the things that Simplilearn is very strong in, they've got a long, successful history in helping prepare particularly adult learners for certifications like this. So one of the things that they've done a great job on, I think, is really building out a robust curriculum to help people that want to take the certification get ready for it. So it all starts with getting introduced to and familiar with the PRINCE2, and the latest edition is the 7th edition. Giving some thought to taking the training so you're in a position to complete the latest version of PRINCE2. Once we've got that foundation, we've kind of looked through the guide and the manual, then we can start really looking at the processes and what project management means within the PRINCE2 framework. And that helps us then move into module 3, which is the key to all successful projects is their people. So how do we enable people? How do we create high-performing teams? And we can do that through the practices in module 4 and the processes in module 5. So that really gives us a strong foundation so we can deliver our project successfully.
And moving on to the exam specifications here. So as we can see, there is a weightage as well, right? Like for these learning paths. So maybe can you shed some light there as well?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Rasha. And just as you're showing here, within the exam itself, there is going to be different weights applied to some of these learning outcomes. And it's pretty easy to see that a really important component of successfully passing the exam is understanding the PRINCE2 practices and how they're applied throughout the project lifecycle and its stages. So you're going to see a lot of questions centered around that. Now, it doesn't mean you can probably ignore these other sections, but that's an area to really kind of zoom in on and focus to make sure you're in a good position to kind of pass the exam. You can see the other areas, the key concepts. There's a smaller weightage there, so you just want to at least have some familiarity. The principles that go into that, making sure we understand the 7 principles, and that's about 8%. By the way, I view those as almost like gimme marks because they're pretty straightforward. You should be able to quickly review, understand, memorize those, and then you should be able to get any questions on the exam answered correctly. So you should be able to feel pretty confident about getting good marks in those areas. And then the areas that you really want to spend time on will be on that PRINCE2 practices, the importance of people, and then the processes and how they're carried throughout the project. So that's probably where you're going to be spending a fair amount of your time really getting comfortable with those.
Then moving on to the PRINCE2 7th edition practitioner training outline as well, the learning path.
Yeah, so, as we just talked a little bit about, this training outline, I think is really going to help position you for success. You've got the principles, you would see how people are important. And then we talked about the customization, right? The idea that we can apply and tailor the practices and the processes to the needs of the performing organization, what company is doing the work, and the type of work that needs to be performed. So there's building a new manufacturing facility versus a large complex software product to maybe you're rolling out, you're working for the government and you're rolling out some new information around guidelines on obesity, whatever it might be. So there's lots of different types of projects that exist, so understanding how we tailor our practices and processes to support them becomes really important.
Yeah, and similarly, the learning outcomes for the PRINCE2 practitioner exam also consist of 4 sections, and we can see the weightage here as well. So we can shed your comment from there for that as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see immediately, one of the more important areas is how do we tailor our practices in context. So, the domain that we're working with, the industry that we're part of, that's going to be a heavy emphasis on this space, this area. The other things we want to make sure we're getting comfortable with are how do we customize and apply different parts of the processes. So we got the practices and the processes to support them. Okay, we can customize and adjust both. They're closely related. 80% of this topic area is going to be focused around tailoring. So really kind of spending some time getting comfortable with that is going to be really important.
And moving on to prerequisites. So who exactly can take up this program? So there are no prerequisites to take the PRINCE2 7 Foundation and Practitioner course. However, the PRINCE2 7 Foundation exam should be completed and passed to apply for the PRINCE2 Practitioner examination. I think we have a few questions about that. I hope that clears that. And also, if you're already certified in PRINCE2 6 Foundation and want to upgrade to the new version, you can take the PRINCE2 7 Practitioner exam directly. And however, we recommend starting with PRINCE2 Foundation training due to the changes in the terminologies and the addition of new material. I think I see one question about the same thing that that I've passed the this is by Parvati that can we still register for the PRINCE2 6th edition exams? I have attended the training for 6th edition and yet to give exams. So that is one of the questions, and I see one of the questions that with PRINCE2 6th edition exam, like they have cleared, but they have not cleared the PRINCE2 7 Foundation Practitioner exam. So that answers your question that you can still pursue. Go and directly basically go and take the PRINCE2 7 Practitioner exam if you have already cleared the PRINCE2 6 Foundation. But it is suggested that you basically, basically take up the PRINCE2 Foundation because of the changes in terminologies and addition of new material. So I hope that answers your question. And also, there are a lot of skills covered in this program as well, which basically help them with preparation for the exam. So, Bryan, if you can share what are these skills and why are these skills so important to basically clear this exam?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what Prince does is projects through different sort of areas. So you can see at the top of this, we've got different topic areas like risk analysis management, change management, data analysis, and conflict management. Supported by the 3 boxes you see below, the PRINCE2 methodology, which is all about its processes and practices and how do we adopt them, the themes, the types of environments and types of projects we're working with, and the guiding principles that PRINCE2 uses. So we kind of start with getting comfortable with the methodology and those themes and principles, make sure we understand the processes and practices, and then they help us with these broader topics that all projects are going to need to spend some time with. So conflict management, anytime you're dealing with people, there is the risk, and maybe some would say the inevitability of some conflict. So we want to have some mechanisms in place that help us manage the potential conflict that's going to emerge as people start working together. And if you're familiar with terms like Bruce Tuckman's team formation mnemonic, he talks about how teams go through stages. They go through a forming, storming, norming, performing. So you bring teams together, and then by virtue of bringing them together, they learn how they want to work together and their communication styles, and off leads to some storming, maybe some frictions emerge. But once they work through that, then they get to a phase of norming. So they kind of get normalize their working approaches and processes, and then allows them to really elevate and become a high-performing team. So conflict management is one area you're going to spend time on. Data and analysis, we want to use as much as we can fact-based, data-driven information to help us make informed decisions as project managers. That's particularly important when we start thinking about risk analysis, risk management. Risks are those things that could impact our project. They impact it in the form of scope or cost or time. So we really want to look at what risk could impact those 3 important variables to make sure we're actively managing and minimizing or even reducing those risks. And then change management. How do we take a large project and effectively implement it and introduce it to a large group of users and stakeholders? So change management becomes a really important part of this. How do we communicate? When do we communicate? Who do we communicate to? What training is required? What support is going to be necessary? all that becomes really valuable when we're executing and transitioning our projects. So that's a little bit about some of the skills that we're going to cover. We're also going to go deeper into areas like, budgeting and scheduling and scope management. So a lot of different topics will be covered throughout the whole curriculum of the training.
Thank you so much, Brian, for sharing about the skills that are covered in the program. Interestingly, we actually have one of the alumni, who's taking up the course has also joined us, Gaurang. I can see on the chat here. Sharing the experience is really good. He has already completed the course and is on the second one with Simplilearn. That's great. Still, please do let us know if you have any questions, even after completing the program, how to prepare after the program, any questions about that as well. So sharing the exam details here, I think we have few questions about what is the duration of the exam. So the exam duration here is of 60 minutes for the foundation level, and for practitioner level, it is of 150 minutes with 70 questions. And the exam type for foundational level is closed book. And for practitioner level, it is open book scenario from the official book used in the exam. And there was one question that how much is the percentage of passing marks? So you need to score at least 60% to pass the PRINCE2 foundation and the PRINCE2 practitioner exam. I hope that answers your question. One of the questions there that are there in the Q&A box here by Hosni Hamid, which I see. And also we have, PRINCE2 Foundation course advisors here, Tim Jeroen, who's a project management expert and evangelist. He is an international project management expert with 15 years of experience at companies like Intel and Digital Network Services. He's also been a former president of the PMI Rio Grande chapter, and Tim is also a PMP instructor with over 10 years of experience in addition to his consulting experience. And also Jeff Allen, who's also one of the program and course advisors. He's also a project management and agile consultant and also an author. He's a highly regarded project management and agile expert. He has over 15 years of experience at large companies like Compaq and HP. And as an agile coach, he has mentored over 5,000 professionals globally. So again, like Bryan Campbell here, you can already see he's one of the experts as well. So yeah, these are the experts who make sure that, first of all, the Simplilearn is delivering as per standards to make sure that, you take up this course and also, basically clear the exams as well along with the course while you're basically coming. Also quickly sharing the customer reviews here. So the alumni who have completed the course and they have shared their experience as well among thousands of them. So just sharing few of them to give an idea what kind of experience did they have. So Harsh Sharma here shares that he highly recommends Simplilearn, and this course content is easy to understand and helpful to get ahead in career. And he's gotten great support from the team. Avantika Kushwaha here shares that Simplilearn's PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner exam was a very good experience, and the classroom experience was amplified by relevant examples. Also sharing a few more. Aarti Gautam here shares that the content was very interesting and helpful, and the trainer used to share as much as real-time examples with us, and which was very good for our understanding and learning experience, and he was full of energy. So says thank you for that. And Arun Shana here shares that the trainer was very knowledgeable and explained the content in simple language, which helped him understand it easily. And Simplilearn's PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner was a good experience, and he will highly recommend Simplilearn. I'll also share the link towards the program with you as well before we move on. But let's also talk about the salary, right? Now that you're basically interested in a project management position through this exam, so what are the basically salaries also, which are basically, basically being offered for a project manager, a project director, project owner, PM. So let's quickly have a look at that. So you can see for a project manager, so the red color here is the average salary and the green one is the maximum salary. This is again, like, this is just an average example. This is not the exact amount. It can be more than that also. So for a project manager here, you can go up to more than, I think, $50,000 here. And these basically salary figures are in USD dollars. And also up to a maximum of more than $1 lakh here. And for a project director, you can go to average of more than, I think, 1.10 or something, and it can go up to maximum 1.75 K dollars here. And for a product owner, it's basically starts with an average of almost around 1 lakh dollars here, USD dollars, and goes up till almost nearly 1.25 K dollars here. And for a PMO here, it starts with an average of around 60K USD dollars and can go up to a max of around 1K, 1 lakh, basically K dollars here. Now, these are just numbers here. They are just showing you an average set of numbers here. So basically, I'm just quickly going to also show you the real-time numbers here as well, right? So these are just average numbers. So let me just quickly see what exactly, are the hiring companies, what exactly are the hiring jobs available for these basically positions here. So let me just quickly stop sharing my slide and let me just quickly go and check out the jobs here. So I know a lot of you have joined us from different countries. So, but I'll be able to give you examples of few countries only. You can go and check it out for yourself later on. So this from DICE, I'm going to show you an example for mostly jobs which are located in US. And let's search for a project position here and see how many jobs are available. Project manager, project director, project owner, PMO. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically only as of today in US. It has more than basically 1,000 plus jobs here, and you can see these jobs are basically ranging from project engineer and the companies which are hiring a lot of openings from job board I see. So, yeah. And you can see different type of experiences, employment types as well. Yeah, a lot of jobs here for project related. And also, let's also quickly see an example in India as well, how many project jobs are available here. Okay, for project related positions, we can see as of today, there are more than 1 lakh 53,000 jobs available here. And you can see these positions here and the companies which are hiring for project related roles, project manager, program manager, and yeah, like there are a lot of openings here. So as of today, this is the real demand of these positions here. Thank you so much for bearing with me while I was showing you the basically exact figures of currently available jobs in the market. Now, quickly, the companies which will be hiring. I think we have seen a lot of companies which are hiring worldwide, but these are the main companies who basically hire for project management professionals and are in demand in 2024. Amazon, IBM, Netflix, Cisco, Michael Page, and Google, and you can see Capgemini, Accenture, and yeah, like these are just to name a few of them. So before moving on to the interest pool as well, I would love to basically show you the program page as well. So let me just quickly go to the Simplilearn's program page and also show you the, and I'll share the link also towards the program, and I'll just quickly show you where you can also download the syllabus as well for your reference later. So this is the link towards the program. I'm sharing it on the chat here. You can save it, and this is where you can go and check out the program details with the things we have already covered. We have more than 26,000 learners here, and it has a very good rating of 4.4. And you can basically check out. So yeah, also just before I wanted to show you the program page, I also wanted to quickly show you the options here we have here. So we have an online bootcamp, which basically has a flexi pass enabled, where you can flexibly reschedule your cohort within first 90 days of access. You can see the lifetime access as here as well. As I mentioned that you will have the access even after the program for a lifetime for the recorded and the live sessions you have attended. And there is a 24/7 learner support available in the learning management system, which is provided by Simplilearn. So there are two formats here: online bootcamp if you're an individual, and there's a corporate training option available as well. So the link which I've shared, you can basically share your requirements through that link. And also, if you want to quickly enroll yourself, you can also go and check out the details here. You can provide your name, email ID, phone number, and talk to our advisor, and also view your schedules. So yeah, these are the skills covered. We have already covered the course feature here. we have already covered the training options available and the learning part of the program for both PRINCE2 Foundation and the practitioner exam as well. So the experts here and all the details, you can see more alumni reviews as well if you want to check out, and more details here about the program as well. So this is basically just to sum up the program review for the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner exam. And now we would love to know your interest in enrolling into the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner 7th edition certification training. And you can share that by responding yes on the poll, which is just launched now on Zoom. And yeah, we'll be, I think, Brian, I think you have managed to answer a lot of these questions already. So maybe you can quickly just summarize all the questions you have answered, because I see folks are basically just wanting to hear, what are the questions, and also like, want to hear what are the solutions here from you as well.
Yeah, definitely. Did you want to finish this poll?
Sure, we can do that as well, yeah. Also, folks, this is a really good time. All the questions we have gotten in the Q&A box, Brian has managed to answer most of them. Please go have a look in the Q&A box and let us know if you have any follow-up questions. And also, if in case you have any questions right now. So this is a really good time. We still have few minutes left, and we can still address your queries. So please go and put on the questions in the Q&A box for our expert speaker, Bryan Campbell. I'll give 10 to 15 seconds more for the poll here, which is launched right now. I see most of you have already started responding to the poll here. So yeah. After this poll, I'll just quickly take you through the enrollment steps of the program, and also the program fee, and what are the kind of classes available. So we have weekday and weekend batches both. You can check out in the link also which I've shared and see what are the upcoming cohort, with upcoming cohorts which are available as well. In case you want to check it out right now, you can use the link as well. Also, you can also check out the fee for your own region by clicking on that link as well. I'll be sharing it for the US and Indian region. Also, I saw one message. I'm so sorry. I was, communicating a salary in lakhs. So it is 100,000, dollars. So just to correct that, lakh means $100,000. Just to rectify that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Awesome. Last 5 seconds for the poll here. So the poll which is live, I see most of you have responded for the poll, but we would love to know your interest in enrolling into the PRINCE2 Foundation and the Practitioner 7th Edition Certificate Training Exam by Simplilearn. And you can go and respond yes on the poll which is live. And after this, the learning consultants from Simplilearn will be reaching out to you. And even addressing any queries after you download the syllabus as well from the link I've shared on the chat. And yeah, they will take you through the program in case you want to have a walk through the program once again, and they'll help addressing any questions you might have as well, even after the webinar as well. So please don't worry about that. So once you're sharing interest. Folks who are watching us live on our YouTube channel, they can also go for an enrollment. There's a link on the YouTube Live chat box you will see on the top for the same program page which I have shown you. You can click on that and follow the same approach by filling on your details there, your name, email ID, and phone number. And if you're watching this later, can find the link towards enrollment in the description of the YouTube channel. On the top, you will see the link for the program. Yeah. Okay, awesome. I'll be ending the poll now. Thank you so much. I see most of you have responded for the poll, and thank you so much for sharing your interest towards enrollment. Let me just quickly take you through the enrollment steps of the program here. So there are 3 simple, easy steps you'll have to follow. So step 1 here is you'll have to submit an application to us at askus@simplilearn.net. And the step 2 will be we will evaluate your application based on the eligibility and the prerequisites. There are no such prerequisites, so that won't be much of an issue. But just a quick check here for application reviewing for all the details. And the step 3 is based on the details you have submitted. Once they get reviewed, you'll be getting admissions offer from Simplilearn, and we'll be sending it to you over mail. Now, quickly taking you through the program fee here. If you have clicked on the link, you might notice for the US region, the fee is 3,516 US dollars. But if I just take you to the link here, so there is a discount going on. So if you basically enroll now, I'll just quickly go and change the region to US, and I'll show you the same program fee. So because I've just noticed that, I wanted to highlight. So there is a 30% offer also going on. So in case you enroll now, and you can check out this upcoming classes here whenever batch is starting as per suitable to you. So you can check out the fee and the basically discount which we are offering in the link which is shared there. And for Indian region, similarly, we have the fee here for 60,350 INR rupees. And for your own region, you can check out the link as I mentioned, which I've shared in the chat. Sharing the next upcoming cohort which you can join. So we have weekday plus weekend batches. So the weekday one which is upcoming is 30th May, and the weekend one is on 15th June. And even after the webinar, if you need any assistance, you can reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. And share the email ID on the chat in case you want to save it and save it for after the webinar, and let us know if you have any queries over the game. Also, I've already shared about the type of basically program types we have. So there is an online bootcamp if you want to take it up individually, which we have already talked about. And there is a corporate training section as well. So you can go and check out in the link which I've shared. Now, quickly moving on to the Q&A part. So, Bryan, over to you. And I see you have managed to address most of the queries here. But maybe just to summarize it to help out the folks who have joined us as well. We have gotten really good questions here.
Sure. Yeah, there are lots of great questions. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to post them. Generally, I would say the vast majority seem to be oriented around what's the difference between the PMP and the PRINCE2. So hopefully we spend a little time on that. Both of those certifications are going to really go deep into how do we effectively manage projects? What processes and practices, how do we tailor and adjust them? Many make an argument that PRINCE2 is a little bit more accessible. They tend to kind of explain things in maybe a way that most people, particularly maybe those that are not as familiar with projects, would be comfortable with. How do we start up a project? How do we get people engaged in a project? How do we enable people to deliver projects successfully? But some of that's maybe a little subjective, but generally they both have the same areas. PRINCE2, bit more predominant in Europe because that's where it came from. However, both of these are globally recognized certifications. Other topics that came up seem to be sometimes oriented around, what's the final exam look like? Who provides it? So this is what's called a proctored exam. It is closed book, as you saw. Rasha kind of told you how long it would be. It's multiple choice. So and this will be something you will do online. You will get your results immediately. If you're not successful, not able to get the passing grade you need, you can just retake it. So you can do that immediately. So you should have hopefully no need to retake the exam if you've completed your training and covered the material that Rasha was just highlighting here. But it is all online these days. I know when I got my certifications, I actually had to go to a testing center and kind of book time there, but you don't need to do that anymore. It's a lot easier to manage. Outside of that, I think a lot of people are interested in, hey, is this a good fit? Maybe I'm making a shift from a different role in my organization. Is project management a good direction? Well, I think the short answer to that is absolutely. You saw Rasha highlighted what the earning potential is for project managers, but I would argue it's even more than that. Yes, you'll be well compensated for this. Organizations see and understand the value of projects, but I think it's more about finding something that's really fulfilling and engaging. One of the things that makes project management so exciting from my vantage point is you're always dealing with these really interesting technologies and opportunities. and having an opportunity to kind of work with experts in different areas and domains, it just makes it a really fun place to be if you like change, if you like to be very current, if you like to kind of push boundaries and implement things that are going to help lots of people. Then project management is probably a really good place for you to be investing. I think those are kind of the main ones. Now, there were a few questions that looked like some people might be a little bit in between. Hey, I took my PRINCE2 6th edition material, and how does that translate to the 7th edition? Well, a few things about that. You might need to go to the PRINCE2 website, and they'll give you some guidance on when they're making the transition from their exams covering their 6th edition to the 7th edition. Hey, and maybe you've already got the foundation and you want to get the practitioner. Well, there is a pretty big difference between the 6th and 7th edition, so you might want to go back and get your refresher, get the 7th edition foundation before you take that practitioner course. But outside of that, a lot of those questions can be answered directly on the PRINCE2 website. I think that was it. I'm not sure. Were there any other? Quite a few came in, maybe a little abstract. So some of these, Rashi, you might be in a little better position to answer on, people who've already
Sure.
enrolled
Let
and
me
things
have
like
a
that.
look at it. Let me have a look at it. For this, even I don't know the answer. This is a very difficult question, but I'm leaving a email here, which you can just keep a note of it and reach out to us. I'm just sharing it here for Shankar here. So I've just shared the email ID Shankar. Just ask us at simplilearn.net. Please drop in your query there. And yeah, I think I managed to answer a lot of them. I did answer a few of them related to the certificate. Now talking about the certificate, just quickly, I know you have been eagerly waiting for that. So this is how the certificate looks like, which I've shared earlier. You can go and share the certificate on LinkedIn as well. Tag us Simplilearn handle and our expert Bryan Campbell. I'll share the LinkedIn IDs on the chat. And people are already sharing it, and you can follow the hashtag Simply Grow as well. These are the certificates. People are also sharing their insights as well, for attending the latest webinar. So you can use the hashtag Simply Grow, and you will receive the certificate within 24 to 48 hours, and also a separate mail for the recording link as well, because a lot of you wanted the presentation or the recording link, right? So now we'll be ending the session, but before that, I would love to know from Bryan, would you like to say something to the folks? Because a lot of them have shared interest towards enrollment into the program, and I think you'll be seeing a lot of them in the upcoming cohorts as well of the program.
Yeah, really excited to see that. So yeah, connect LinkedIn, and love to see some shout outs, and I'll absolutely engage and respond. So Rasha, thanks for facilitating all this.
Thank you so much, Bryan, and thank you everyone for being an amazing audience. I'm sharing the details on the chat here in case you want to tag us. You can tag Bryan as well, his profile as well. So I'm just sharing the details here on the chat. And also, if you want to attend such more webinars, so you can check out the link which I've already shared on the chat. You can get an early access to these webinars for the entire month of May and June. You can see the basically upcoming webinars here for the next a month or so, and you can subscribe for all of them. So yeah, please go and explore, have fun, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you in upcoming cohort of the program for folks who have shared enrollment interest. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being an amazing audience. We'll be ending the session now. So have a good day, good evening, a good night, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you so much.
Take
Thank you.
care.